establish service areas, and we'll then look at changes in land use density and population over a 10-year period, which is what the law recommends. Heretofore, the land use assumptions done by Brownsville has had one basic large service area for the CCN that the Brownsville Utility Board controls. That's evolved to create a situation where across the service area, then the maximum impact fee is charged, which could discourage some of in-town development and encourage development jumping out to town. So what was part of our scope was to look at, can we look at service areas and create a more balanced distribution of the impact. And so this is the report, and this is not the PowerPoint. I'll just wing it with this. But basically, the first part of the report is to look at the service areas. Let me flip through this. And what I start with is that all the reports done to date by any agency of the city and even the RMA have included what's called traffic analysis zones, which are data zones set up by the Metropolitan Planning Organization. And those are the colored segments inside that boundary. And the outer is the ETJ boundary. So you can see that the ETJ of Brownsville contains about 175 what's called traffic analysis zones. So if our land use assumption study is going to be consistent or build upon what precedes it, we would try to use that as much as possible. These are the CCNs. You see the purple and yellow is the CCN for water, and if we lay that over the traffic analysis zones, you can see that the political boundaries don't necessarily quite coincide with the traffic analysis boundaries. So we need to supplement the MPO data in order to get data specific to the geographical area of the CCN. And the same thing's true of water. There again, you see the water service area doesn't quite coincide. So what we have to do then is establish within the CCN the particular types of service areas. And this is a picture here shows the gravity lines that are in place. You can see there's a density of gravity lines already built that are in the downtown area, meaning that most developed infrastructure exists in the core area of the city. So rather than have one a single service area across the whole CCN, what we have done, I don't know if there's a pointer or not. I guess, yeah, it does. What we've done is divide up into three areas: the replacement and upgrade, which is the existing core area of the city; the expansion and extension, which are the areas of primary growth you see up at the 83 corridor; and areas of future extension. And what that does is gives us three different levels of intensity of capital investment that may be required, which will evolve or equate into three levels of impact fee assessment within areas. So rather than have one fee across the board, the inner city would have a different fee related to its particular needs, and the growth areas would have a fee related to their particular needs. The same thing is done with the water mains. You see the water mains down here. Again, they cluster primarily in the core of the city, which is not surprising. And that equates to three service areas: replacement and upgrade, slightly different configuration, but the same idea: expansion, extension, and just pure extension in the areas that are pretty much have not grown. We also thought it was important that Brownsville consider the idea of expanding its impact fee program to consider two other things: roadway impact fees and Resaca impact fees, because the idea of restoring the Resacas has become an ever more important item in Brownsville. And so we went ahead and did some basic population studies on those kind of service areas in hopes that if the city moved forward, then it would at least have a database to move forward with. And so if the Resaca areas, this shows all the waterways in town, pretty much the developed waterways, the main canals flow to and connect with the town Resaca, Resaca de las Palmas and town Resaca, and Resaca Rancho Viejo. Resaca de los Cohetes is up here also. So basically what we saw in that integrated system, there are three primary Resaca corridors, pretty much the de la Palma, which includes of the town of Resaca, and then all the canals that connect to it, Rancho Viejo, and stuff that connects to it, and De Los Cohetes. So I end up with 3 service areas in terms of Resaca, and then we develop those as service areas. Finally, if Brownsville at some point decides that it wants to do roadway impact fees, which many cities throughout Texas do, Cedar Hill, Coppell, certainly most of the cities in the Metroplex around Dallas do roadway impact fees, and in that way get in a position to construct and direct growth through the provision of roadways, which has a great influence. We thought we would also create roadway service areas as well, and that way, should the city desire to do that, it would have a database to get started with. And so these are the major roadways. Pretty much in Brownsville, there are 8, I call roadway tributary areas, and they're pretty much divided by 83 and the highway to the island and Military Parkway, et cetera. So, but the state law limits the size of the service areas to be no more than 6 miles. So we have to subdivide those tributary areas into a more complex pattern of service areas. We end up with 18 roadway service areas. So you have 3 water service areas, 3 wastewater service areas, 3 Resaca areas, and 18 roadway service areas. So what we did then is begin to, so this is the list of all the service areas, so quite a list. It's hard to read this, but this is the first idea. We did a base year population, pulling together MPO's data, and then also pulling together ESRI data. So in order to meet these particular jurisdictional boundaries that are there, which do not necessarily coincide with TAZs, we brought in the use of the ESRI database, which allows us to construct polygons that are specific to a geographical area and pull in data based on those. So they begin, it's hard to see it in this light, but basically there's a darker pattern here, which is the polygon created on the ESRI database. And with ESRI, which has 50 different databases, including the Census, Department of Commerce, and private data sources as well, we're able to get a wide array of information for these service areas, including population tapestry information, which covers not only the socioeconomic characteristics of the population in place, what their shopping habits are. So we know a lot about the people within the certain sub-areas of the city, which is important to understand how the population is going to grow, because as we project population, we want to understand what's going to be the pattern of growth of the city. So I'll skip over this stuff, which is mainly delves into what all that is. Some of the areas will see new growth, like in this area, you know, the industrial corridor plan projects some potential development in and around the airport and the port, and along the extension of 550, and if the East Loop comes in, that opens up the area for development. That has not been really reflected in past studies, and it certainly should be reflected as we go forward. So I'll try to erase through this because it's a 100 and some page report, so I know you don't want to go at every page. Let me get so the ESRI data is quite rich. What it gives us is we can tell, for example, how many businesses are in each service area and how many people are employed in each business. This is important, so we can project land uses for the area. And so then we are able, by service area and traffic area, to project the land use square footage for retail, government, services, commercial, those manufacturing, those sorts of things. So now we end up with a base of what is there now in terms of population, in terms of land use, in terms of trip generation, and those sorts of things. Remember, the state law requires that we compare the change. So once we establish that, we then look at daily trips as generated by that, existing employment. So you have a lot of information. We create a series of data points on projected growth using the census, using ESRI, using MPO, and then do what's called a regression analysis or a correlated line, and end up with a projected average correlation of what the growth would be in 2024 for each of the service areas. So that's what this part of the report is about. And we end up with then a summary of the 2010 population by service area. It's Resaca 1, Resaca 2, wastewater 1, wastewater 2, water 1, 2, and 3. and the 2024 population. So first chart out of the chute is the population changes. Then we look at the land use projections to see what that future population will equate to in terms of retail, manufacturing, government services, hospitals, et cetera. We have the land use projections. Okay. One thing that we also did, because we want to study the spatial distribution of that growth, is we did what's called an encumbrance analysis, idea being that development led by land development, typically, which most development is, will gravitate to areas that are least encumbered. We don't have floodplains, don't have those sorts of things. So if you look at where we have more sewer line capability and where we have water line capability, where we don't have storm surge zones, where we don't have flood encumbrances, where we don't have parcel fragmentation, a lot of small parcels so that it's easy to assemble land. We look at all those items and compare those, overlay those on a process called GIS Spatial Analyst. We get a distribution of the green being the areas where Brownsville will most likely grow. So we're going to see that growth happen primarily in these areas with areas of greatest growth. And those service areas will see the greatest impact. So we know spatially now how much it'll grow. We know spatially where the growth will tend to aggregate. One thing we want to do is, what is the build-out capacity then of the city? And we approached this from several ways, and one of the ways we approached it was to look at what is a built-out city in Texas. Because built out in Boston, you have one person per, you have 6,000 to 9,000 people per square mile, but in like Richardson, Texas, which is considered built out, you only have 3,800 people per square mile. So the idea of built-out city in Texas is more on the 3,800 person per square mile idea than the East Coast, which is more vertical, high density. So using that as the model, we projected what the build-out population capacity was for Brownsville, what the build-out land use capacity is for Brownsville, what the build-out trip generation is for Brownsville, what the build-out employment potential is for Brownsville. And so now you have 2010, 2024, and the capacity. So this gives you the two ends of the spectrum and where Brownsville is in 10 years within that particular spectrum. I think this is probably more detailed than most land use studies, but it's information that is important for Brownsville's larger planning efforts because there's a lot of changes that I think are going to happen. And so we look at sort of some of the issues confronting the historic impact fee program, and mainly that the one maximum fee tends to be a disincentive in some areas and an incentive in other areas. It might not necessarily coincide with Brownsville growth preferences. But now with capital programs that are tied to specific issues of revising and expanding and upgrading or extension, the impact fees created by that calculus can be much more geared to the growth management objectives of the city. What's interesting is that even in its where Brownsville is today, it really fits in neatly. These are other cities in Texas and what they have in their impact fees, and the red arrow shows where Brownsville is between Carrollton and Fort Worth, and if you look at the sewer, it's in between Arlington and Plano. So it's what Brownsville's doing is certainly within what's happening around Texas. So we thought we would bracket Brownsville's impact fee program within what's happening across the state as well. We also interviewed some people in the real estate industry and developers and other people to see if they agreed with our projections and analysis. So included in the summary is a summation of their response to the questions and some agencies involved as well. For example, the Laguna Madre Water District and the Cameron County Drainage District. So all these people participated in interviews. And then finally, we looked at the idea of creating a roadway impact fee. If Brownsville wanted to do that, what would it take to do that? And so we gave the 12 steps necessary to get there, starting with having a land use assumption study done, which hopefully this will fill that bill, and having capital improvements, adopting a roadway impact fee ordinance, and that sort of thing. And so you end up with a sort of action agenda should Brownsville decide to do a roadway impact fee, which is something that we were asked to consider. There it is, how to do that. Let me go back here one quick and I'll wrap this up. One thing that we did particularly do, which is an important part of the study, I know no one has time to read anything, but there is a narrative, which is a description of each of the service areas, trying to bring in together the projections and the externalities, like the encumbrance study and future growth. We're in a position to know of some of the things, having done the surveys and what we know about the city from being involved in numerous other studies. We know that there are several land assemblies in action and other projects that are being considered. So we tried to sort of analyze how that would affect the population distribution. And that part of the report is worth looking at. It takes each of the service areas and gives an overview of what issues it's facing and what changes it might have. So you have 2010, 2024, build out, roadway impact fees, roadway service area population, Resaca service area population, water, wastewater, and then an evaluation of those in terms of what are some of the big issues that the areas will face. And that pretty much comprises the land use assumption study. So it's quite a bit to it, but anyway. So anybody have any questions? I'd be glad to take those.
What would be the next phases that you would see? What would be the next phases that you would see for this plan? What's the next step?
Well, the next step is that the city already hired some consultant to do the capital improvement study. So they will now do a capital improvement study to reflect the capital improvement necessary to serve the population within the service areas that are projected by this study. All that will come back to the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee for them to collect and sign off on. Then it comes to the council for a public hearing to either accept or reject. The two choices. And if accepted, then everything we spoke. That's for water and wastewater, which you already have as impact. If you decide to do, and the capital improvement studies are being done only for water and wastewater. So a decision the city would have to make if it wanted to do Resaca's or roadway service areas would be to hire someone to do, you have to have a capital improvement study to go along with the population projections as well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item is executive session. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, thank you.
Just to elaborate, just to elaborate a little bit more on the question is where do we go from here? Staff has reviewed the report, and we were basically recommending that the report be accepted and open up a review and comment period, and if you choose to do so. The timeline that we've looked at has been discussed with PUB because their consultants are currently working on a water and wastewater study which will incorporate a capital improvements program, which is the next step of the process. So the timeline is basically to have this back before the commission sometime December or January for approval. From there, an impact fee consultant, the consultant who would be the one responsible for calculating the new proposed impact fees will be brought on board sometime in June or July of 2015. Capital improvement plan would be completed along those same timelines, and then the actual fees would be calculated with the project wrapping up in late 2015. And if it's the Commission's wishes to come back and adopt a new impact fee rate schedule in early 2016. So that's the schedule that preliminary schedule that we've worked through with PUB and planning staff, as well as others involved in the process. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Executive session, item A, consultation with attorney pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code regarding settlement of pending litigation.
motion to move to executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I know you need to go. When I have my kids. That's what I did. I was like almost in tears walking up to the gate. Like,
We're ready, Stella.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Mr. Pastor Rafael Guzman. Pastor.
Your Honor, thank you, Commissioners. The Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this great opportunity that you gave us to come before you, Lord. The Heavenly Father, I ask you, Lord, to come and be with the Major, Tony Martinez, and each one of our commissioners. Lord, give them the wisdom to keep on guiding this city through your perfect will, Father. I ask you, Lord, to bless our nation, our state of Texas, and also our city, Lord. There's many things happening around the world, in our country, sicknesses, crimes, Lord. But today we ask you to protect our city, Lord, from all evil things, Lord. Keep on giving these great men and women of you, Lord, the guidance through your Holy Spirit to keep on guiding this beautiful city, Lord, before you. We ask you all of this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Item number A.
Action on item discussed in executive session. Item A, consideration and action regarding border fence litigation.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I moved to approve and to advise Attorney Chosy to reach an agreement with DHS in the amount of $600,000 for various properties that have been stated.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Josie.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor's activity update.
Yeah, I have just one item that I think I mentioned to Commissioner Gowan this morning, and that is next Friday on September the 17th, the Pace High School have requested their students to do some civic work, and they've had volunteers of 600 to 700 of the students that are going to go out there, and they've been working with the city manager and with the city director, Mr. Patterson. And I'm looking forward to it. They're going to be having a pep rally at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I think it's one of those great events that hopefully a lot of people will follow suit. But I'm looking forward to it, and I want the community, if they, to kind of keep watching on that. And if you happen to see some of those Pace kids that you see them and they're working that day, give them a big thanks for their work. So that's my report.
I have one thing. Tomorrow afternoon at 5:30 at Dean Porter Park, we're holding a community meeting to let folks know what's new and coming up soon in bike peds in Brownsville to make Brownsville a walkable, more walkable and bikeable community. So stop by, and there will be 4 stations set up at Dean Porter so that you can see and comment and input to what is going on all over the city. Dean Porter tomorrow, 5:30.
Okay.
And Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to make a real quick comment to update everybody about District 2, the work that we've been doing. I am so happy with city staff, and I just want to give them a great shout out. In the last few months, we have put sidewalks throughout Robindale. This is the area where we have Rey Jaime and all of the new subdivisions that are going up, and we have a lot of students that wait on the side of the road very, very early in the morning. They now have a wonderful ADA compliant sidewalk that they can wait on that's away from traffic. So a huge thank you to Public Works and everybody that got that done. Also, another thing that I'm very, very proud of, in the area where Perez Elementary School is, we have repaved in North Street, Hip Street, all of those streets. We've done about 10 streets in that area. They were in severe need of repaving, and that's done now. And we are continuing to work. We'll be going through Minnesota next. And so street by street, we're working on it. But I am so happy with our traffic and our public works. It is a pleasure and honor to work with our city staff. They are amazing. And I'm so happy for the residents of this area because I know that it means a lot to them, that their kids are now waiting on safe sidewalks and they have great streets. So I just wanted to thank city staff and Mr. Kabler for all of the hard work that you've been putting into District 2. It means a lot. Thank you.
Jessica, do you want to mention your community garden?
Oh, yeah. Right, and there's another thing, I didn't know if I should mention it yet, but Portway Acres is a park that we've worked on for the last couple of years. We received CDBG funding, about over $300,000, and we put in a splash pad, a walking trail, a dog park, a bunch of really cool things. It's there right in front of Perkins Middle School. And so we had been getting a lot of parents coming to me and saying, you know, I love it now that my child doesn't have to wait there and getting into trouble and going to homes, they wait at the park. And so we had this opportunity that came up with our community gardens that Dr. Gowan has been working on so diligently for many years now. But our community gardens, it basically is a little slot that you can rent for a couple of dollars, and you're able to grow goods, vegetables, all sorts of kinds of things, and you can sell them at the farmer's market. And so we've had tremendous success with our other community gardens. We've had homes that had income of like $350 a month. They're now getting that weekly. So it has quadrupled household incomes, and very, very exciting. We are now going to be able to do that in District 2 at Portway Acres Park, and that's a huge thing. It'll be income for the nearby homes, and we're just so excited, and I want to thank Dr. Gowan and everybody who is helping us get this established. It's
The
tremendously
Wellness Coalition,
awesome.
big shout out to them. They are the ones that do the gardens,
Yes.
and they work closely with the Youth Build kids,
Yes.
as well as the TSC architecture program to design it. So it's a great project.
Yes, we're very excited. And if anybody has any questions or needs information, you can contact me at jtetro@cob.us. You can Facebook me or call me on my cell phone. My number is 956 459-4444. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner.
Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to alert the citizenry about when we had our last heavy rains in the city. Thank you to Public Works and to engineering for all of the work that you all did in making sure that the streets were clear. We do have problems, but I want to assure the citizenry that our engineers, our Public Works directors, and our assistant directors, as well as our health department, are working hand in hand already to develop the new plans. We do have plans already where we're reaching out to Cameron County Drainage District so that we can work with the situation on Boca Chica, so that we can work with all these situations out by Old Port Isabel. We had a lot of rain. There was a lot of rain that came down in the city, and when you get that amount of rain in any city, you're going to have problems. But I want to thank all the people that worked overtime, that worked to be able to make sure that this happened, and we're going to have a special presentation. But at the same time, I just want to notify people that we are going to have a joint public hearing with the University of Texas at Gonzalez Gym in Gonzalez Park, and it's going to be in the reference to the future of Lincoln Park. And this is going to be a public hearing where people can come and voice their opinion, and we invite the public because we want to hear what you have to say, but by the same token, we want to be able to have a chance to explain to you what the vision is, not just for the university, but also for the city of Brownsville. So I'm going to encourage anybody, not just the residents of District 1, but anybody in the city that utilizes Lincoln Park, to please come so that you can be informed, so that you can know and not listen to rumor and be able to listen firsthand to what the plans are, so that you can see that what we're trying to come and what we're trying to present to the city is something that will benefit the whole community. So I invite people to come over on October 30th to Tony Gonzalez Gym at 6 o'clock in the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think it's a real positive message that we can give out to the community with regards to information. And for the public who may not have heard this or read this in the paper, September, Brownsville received 16 inches, which was a record high for all time. So thank you for your patience, and city, thank you for all the hard work that you've done to make sure that everybody's safe.
I also have a report. I'm very happy to report that today marks the beginning of a project that I've been working on with city staff and BCIC and BDC. It is for the hiring of the PR firm for the city's marketing and branding campaign. And we met today for several hours to discuss the future of our city and how we can better communicate with our constituency and really tell our story in a wonderful and effective way. So this is a long process that will involve a lot of learning about the different aspects of our city, and the group, the PR firm, will be within our community really learning everything that there is to know. So if there's any suggestions or comments or feedback that you as a citizen would like to give, I invite you to email me. It's deborah.portillo@cov.us, or call me. It is 525-3507. And please, I would also invite you to thank the City Commission and the Mayor for approving this project, because it is something that is very important. So thank you, fellow commissioners.
And Commissioner, you might want to make note that in the USA Today, there was a article about Brownsville, which was saying south border town could be the next Cape Canaveral. So you all may want to look it up on your websites and on your computers. It was actually a very nice article, but I think that's good with the branding. They may want to take a look at some of that. Okay, we have nothing further. We can continue. Employee of the month.
We have Employee of the Month.
Mayor, members of the commission, we have two very special employees of our Public Works Department, and I want to thank you for the nice compliments to our city staff. It goes a long way. Our employees really appreciate the fact that they're complimented by our mayor and our commission. We want to thank you for all you do as well. We chose to have two employees for the Employee of the Month this year. As noted during the heavy rains we had September 15th, 14th, 15th, 16th or so of September, we had heavy rains. About 8:40 at night, two of our employees noted that a vehicle had gone into a heavy water in the area of Honeydale and Warrose, and they took quick action. got into the water and saved the lives of a grandma, Josefina Gutierrez, and her two grandsons, Jeremy and Jaden, 5 and 1 years of age, properly secured in their chairs. Their quick action allowed us to be able to joyfully visit with this family later on, and they're glad to say they're very happy, and we're very proud of our employees for taking this quick action. They're not normally police or fire or EMS, which we recognize as people that are out there securing and helping us with security and being the heroes, but it takes all of us working together, and they prove that by taking this heroism on that specific day. So I want to recognize Eduardo Mendiola and Antonio Covarrubias. Santana Torres, of course, is director, is here, and he's very proud of the actions taken by these two young men. I think Santiago Navarro, our assistant public works director, is in the audience as well. We were so proud of them that day, so proud that they were able to witness something like this and take quick action, didn't hesitate, didn't get on the phone, they just jumped in there and took these people out of the water. This being the district of Commissioner Villarreal, I would like him to read the proclamation that you all gracefully signed for these two young men. Please, Commissioner.
Thank you, Charlie. It's an honor to present this proclamation to these brave young men that are employees of our city. And I've always said our employees are second to none, and this is a great example of why I believe so. Okay. Do we want him to come forward?
Face the camera.
Okay. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing and commending Eduardo Mendiola and Antonio Covarrubias Jr. for service to the community. Whereas City of Brownsville employees are expected to demonstrate the highest standards of personal integrity, honesty, and conduct in all activities in order to inspire public confidence and trust. And whereas now and then we hear of individuals performing an extraordinary, selfless act of kindness that restores our faith in the human race. And whereas an example of such selflessness was recently demonstrated by two Brownsville City employees. And whereas Eduardo Mendiola and Antonio Covarrubias Jr. have been employed by the City of Brownsville Public Works Department for 1 month and 6 years respectively. And whereas on September 14th, 2014, at approximately 8:25 p.m., Eduardo Mendiola and Antonio Covarrubias Jr., with both were together, came upon an accident at the corner of Wild Rose Lane and Honeydale Road in Brownsville, Texas. And whereas Eduardo Mendiola and Antonio Covarrubias Jr., with little regard for their own safety, and with the help of two citizens, freed a woman and her two grandchildren from a vehicle that was about to plummet into a drainage canal and be submerged in water. And whereas Eduardo Mendiola and Antonio Covarrubias Jr. courageously and decisively prevented what could have been the tragic loss of 3 lives. Now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby recognize and honor Eduardo Mendiola and Antonio Covarrubias Jr. for their act of fearlessness and dedication to our city and its residents. Done on this day, the 7th day of October 2014, signed Antonio Martinez, Mayor, and the City Commission.
Congratulations and thank you. Congratulations and thank you.
I gotta give them these. I forgot. As the employees of the month, of course, they both get a watch.
Even though they're always at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, Eduardo Mendiola's been with the city 1 month, so he took quick action. I would want to recognize two citizens of Brownsville that actually went in there and helped him out. They're being very modest, so we couldn't get him here. But they do deserve recognition for also helping out Jesus Medrano and his sister, Erica Medrano, which we will eventually locate
Okay.
and allow them hopefully to visit with you, or we'll surely give them some kind of
Well,
recognition.
we'd love to see them.
Thank
We
you.
want to thank them publicly for their acts of heroism, okay?
Thank you.
Item number 4,
Item number 4, consent agenda items A through D.
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5,
Item number 5, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint one member and one alternate to the Amigos del Valle Board for fiscal year 2014-2015.
I would actually ask if somebody else wants to take on being an alternate, because with my, I guess, dedication to Res Tech, which requires travel to McAllen already, the times usually conflict, and it's a little bit too much right now.
I'm going to agree with that. I currently serve on this board, and I also serve on the GBIC board and the Airport Advisory Board. And due to the timing of this meeting, it overlaps a lot of times with our airport meetings that are imperative at this point for me to attend. So if anybody's interested, I would love for somebody else to fill in those shoes.
Which day of the month is this?
It fluctuates. It depends. Sometimes things are needed to be approved, and it's just a random phone call that you need to be in Westlaco right away. So,
But it's usually around 3 o'clock, 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I served on this board for 2 years. And I'd go to this meeting and then sometimes the COG meeting the following day, also in Westlaco. But if I could find out, do you know, Estela, the meeting date? Like the
I don't
first
have a meeting date with me,
Monday?
no.
they fluctuate. I'll tell you right now.
Can we table this item? If
Maybe
for-
we could
in other
table
words,
it to find out for sure and get like a set schedule so that maybe you'd be interested in filling in.
Yeah, I don't mind serving again.
We could just appoint you
John,
now if you'd like.
Why don't we table this for right now, if somebody would move to table it and try to identify the time, because all you guys have a lot of stuff going on, and we need to kind of try to regulate that and try to
Sure.
figure out whether in fact, we can only serve on so many committees. I know all of you are doing a
Right.
lot, so if I can hear a motion to table,
Motion, I'll second that.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And Estela or Charlie, let's kind of talk with some of these committees and see if there's some flexibility and some sort of rigidity as well to find out when these people can actually go to some of these meetings, because otherwise it gets to be really burdensome.
Okay,
And
we'll get that
um,
information out to you.
another question, just in case it does conflict with Commissioner Villal's schedule or whatnot, maybe if another person that's part of the city could serve on that board.
Well, before John, I served on that board, and if I couldn't make it, Ben Medina, the planning director, went. And at that time, it was brought to the commission to appoint the planning director as the alternate.
Alternate.
It
Okay.
was defeated at that time, but I think that's a good option.
Right. Okay.
We'll suggest that, Commissioner.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Charlie, take a look at that. And again, it could be a planning member, it could be someone else, and grant writers. I mean, there's just all kinds of people that might be, appropriate. I don't know. Item number 6,
Item number 6, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 4 members to the Brownsville Metro Transit Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. We're here to seek reappointment or appointment of 4 members to the Transit Advisory Committee Actually, we have 5 vacancies, but for whatever reason, it got submitted for 4. But we do have 6 applicants, 4 of which are seeking for reappointment. One of the positions is actually, of the 5 that we have vacant, 4 are seeking reappointment and 1 is vacant. And there's 6 applications that have, I believe, been presented to you.
Yeah, 4 openings. 4 openings.
5, actually.
So do you recommend the people to reappoint out of the 4 that are eligible, and then we'll take one of the 2 at the bottom? Is that?
Yeah, we've
Okay.
got, of the 4 that are requesting reappointment, which is Ms. Teresa Saldiva, Mr. Julian Lopez, Ms. Viola Carrier, and Mr. Daniel Lenz, we recommend reappointment.
Move
Okay.
to reappoint.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And
Mayor, I
then-
move to appoint Ms. Sylvia Berry as the 5th.
Second.
I'll second that. I think she's a great candidate.
She's got 3 seconds, so. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. You got Sylvia Berry.
Okay,
She's also an
thank
excellent
you.
teacher.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 7.
Item 7, consideration and action to appoint members to the Charter Review Committee.
I don't have this. Do we have the applicants? We can do a spreadsheet on that.
Did they get applications? They're up on the screen.
Is that them, right there?
There's a name missing.
And they're in your packet? Your applications are in your packet.
Estella, there was someone, Katie Euchre, that submitted her application. I don't see her name.
I also asked somebody to, and I don't see
I'm
them.
sorry, were you speaking to me?
Yes,
or
I
to
was.
Commissioner?
There's a name that's not on your list.
Right, okay.
There is a person named Katie Euchre, who's an attorney, and she was interested, and she told me that she submitted her application.
I don't believe we got that.
I don't think
She
so.
said she
got it.
submitted it yesterday, online.
My applicant said she turned it in since last week, so I'll verify with her.
We've checked several times. Yeah.
Let me check. I'll verify with her.
Because I remember that Commissioner Portillo had
Yes.
one, and she said she had applied and we did not have it, so she had to reapply. So I don't know if there's a glitch in the
I'll
system or
verify.
There
what.
might be a glitch.
Is there a
Yeah.
problem?
It's
Is
part
there a
of
glitch
the-
with the online submission?
I don't think it's
It
a
was on the
glitch, it's
online.
part of the application process. You need to go through the entire thing. There's like a special
Yeah.
question at the end, and then you click, and then it takes you to another one.
Okay, well, I'll speak to her.
Okay, so I'd like.
When do we next meet? When's our next meeting?
21st of October.
21st.
I think that's enough time.
Well, I mean, if we can appoint some of these, I mean, it's
Or
better if we
someone-
have all of them. at the
Someone
same
can
time.
appoint whoever they want right now, and then the rest of the people can appoint their
I'd like to
At the next
representatives.
meeting?
ask that the District
Yeah.
2 slot be tabled.
I mean, I don't want to do it piecemeal. There's
What's
no
that?
point. I don't want to do it piecemeal.
Okay,
If we
well,
have other candidates that
then
are,
you
that
can move to table.
move to table.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 8.
Item number 8, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2014-059 to appoint or reappoint a board member to the Cameron Appraisal District Board of Directors. The current member is Vicente Mendez, pardon me.
Mr. Mendez has been a loyal member, and he wishes to be reappointed,
How long
Mayor
has he been on
Commissioners.
there?
One full term.
I'm going to reappoint.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number
Public
9.
comment, we don't have any public comments? There are no public comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 10.
Item number 10, consideration and action on resolution number 2014-057 to approve a request for financial assistance from the Texas Water Development Board to authorize the filing of an application for assistance to allow engaging certain professionals to coordinate the submission of such application and making certain findings in connection therewith.
Welcome again. I think I heard you
Thank you.
yesterday.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Martinez and City Commission. My name is David Obregon. I'm a senior coordinator with the Water and Wastewater Engineering Department at PUB. On behalf of Ms. Gomez, we are submitting this application for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. And part of the process is to pass the proposed resolution, which is needed as part of the application process. The project we're applying for involves rehabilitation of various daily lift stations, and a portion of infrastructure that's involved in the on San Marcelo and the Brownsville Country Club. So we're looking for approval to submit this resolution as part of the application.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 11.
Item number 11, consideration and action on resolution number 2014-058 in support of the students of UT Brownsville and the naming of a mascot for the new UT Rio Grande Valley University.
It was our feeling that we wanted to support the desires of the student body at UTB in renaming the mascot for UT RGV. If they decide, if the students were in support of us supporting the retention of the ocelot, then we would do so. However, if the students desired a new mascot be named, we would like to support the students' desires. Mark, is that the gist of the, did I forget any piece?
Brownsville Student Government Association passed Resolution 5 in support of a new mascot to represent the new university.
Right.
And this resolution is in support of that.
Okay.
Excellent.
I hear a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 12.
Item number 12, consideration and action to designate the remaining balance from the AEP settlement towards downtown improvements at Market Square and the San Fernando Building, and authorizing that any remaining funds be designated towards further downtown improvements or programs that would advance downtown revitalization.
And I think I heard you yesterday, too.
Yes, you
He
did.
made a presentation at PUB.
Mayor, City Commission, this item is to dedicate the AEP, the remainder of the AEP funds for downtown revitalization, as Estella just read. I put together a quick presentation. It's a little bit of downtown revitalization, and then it focuses into Market Square. I took these two images out of the downtown plan, and it really starts where you have the 4 parts of demand. 4 parts of demand are providing connections into the downtown area, creating places, destinations, and overcoming image and security problems. Some of the projects that the commission has done have worked towards this, creating that demand in the downtown area. And then it further breaks it down into, like I said, link what exists. The city commission has approved a lot of trail projects that provide linkages to the rest of town. We also have some work to do with roads and linking into downtown. We've begun, so some of the connections, this is the TxDOT enhancement program, and we were awarded around $800,000 to extend the existing hike and bike trail through the downtown area and over to the university and the Fort Brown battle site. This obviously connects to the 9-mile trail that goes all the way to Palo Alto, but it finally provides that downtown connection. These are some of the images that what that trail will look like. I think last meeting you approved the contract for 6th Street, and that provides a different connection. It provides connections from the Midi Cultural District, pedestrian and bicycle connections from the Midi to downtown as well. The Belden Trail, which was completed about a year and a half ago, is another connection by bike and pedestrian into the downtown area. BCIC recently elected to fund the final phase, phase 2, which would provide that connection back into the downtown area. And this is what phase 2 would look like. This is where the Subway and the Pitty's Pizza are. So that will finally round off that project, and the city cemetery as well. We've begun to create places and destinations. The city commission has voted we went out for bid on the Stegman building. The bids are in, and we're working through that process. but that is definitely a place and a destination in the downtown area. The Immaculate Conception Church was just recently restored, so that is always a destination. It's been a destination for 200 years. We need to improve on it. We've also created temporary events. The picture on your right is Better Block. Better Block not only brought people that have never been downtown, but it also taught us a lot about the conditions at Market Square, and it influenced the final design that you'll see in a bit. And you know that we do ciclovias 4 times a year, and they're all in the downtown area. I believe next year they're starting to float around the city. So once again, creating destinations. This is not city funded, but this is private investment coming back into the downtown area. And the Half Moon has been an anchor in that Adams Street district. And this weekend we have another anchor that just opened up in the old Manotu building. So saw people, once again, I was there not there on Saturday, but at Half Moon, and saw people that you would have never seen downtown 2 years ago. So once again, changing that perception of downtown. With regards to Market Square, in 1986, just a little history, 1986 it opened as a transit station, and in 2012, 2013, it stopped functioning as a transit station. Buses turned over into La Plaza, which has been a tremendous success, but it provided, I believe, an opportunity at Market Square. The Brownsville Historical Association got a grant from BCIC to restore the what used to be the market, that first floor. So they gutted everything out, and it's quite a civic, I would call it a civic space. It's hosted some of the town halls that have been requested by the commission, some fundraising events, private fundraising events, and the Brownsville Wellness Coalition. It was Brownsville's original square and a hub of activity, so the idea is to take it back to that. And it was identified as a revitalization zone in the Imagine Brownsville comp plan. So this is the extent of the Market Square revitalization project. As you can see, that is Market Square, and this is 11th Street, and this area is the alleyways that go from International all the way to 10th Street. There's a really nice, if you stand here, you can see all the way to this fountain right here. And a lot of experts have said, you have to convert, this is an amazing opportunity to convert these areas into pedestrian alleyways. 11th Street, the thought is, traffic doesn't warrant 2.5, 2, or almost 3 lanes on 11th Street. So expand that sidewalk, allow this segment a little bit more room on 11th Street, and also these businesses, including 3 of our buildings that are there, so it would expand that sidewalk on 11th Street. This is the plan for Market Square. A couple of interesting details. Obviously, there's a lot of landscaping, and that is because we found that there's a really big need for shade. That's what Better Block really told us, shade. There's a outdoor chessboard. And that's exactly where we put it during Better Block, and it seemed to be a perfect space. And I could go into more detail at another time on this plan. These are some of the renderings. That's the way it looks now. That's the way it will look. Once again, turning it back into a pedestrian public square. You see the chess pieces there. The other topic on the item was San Fernando. The city purchased the San Fernando building in 2012, and we did a good thing in gutting the building and letting it just kind of work itself out. So I think we think it's time to take that next step, and it could be a combination of city uses and nonprofit. It could also serve as a small business art incubator. That model has been used throughout the country to bring businesses into the downtown area that eventually grow into a bigger location within that area. Other efforts that we've been thinking about in the next year Reactivating the facade improvement program, there was a good amount of success with that, and we think it's really important. Establish a working relationship with, more of a relationship with the Historical Association to program events in the downtown area. There really needs to be more programming. Look at the potential of a tax increment zone, and also explore a public improvement district with downtown landowners. We did that about 3-4 years ago, but times have changed. If this funding is allocated, I think it would be a different conversation with downtown owners. So I will entertain any questions.
How much, what's the budget? Because I didn't see any money there.
The budget for the entire project?
Well, there aren't
Or-
any amounts listed on the agenda item. There's no backup in the packet. So how much are you planning to spend and how much is actually left in the AEP settlement money?
The AEP, what's left is about 1.6.
About, or it's 1.6?
I mean, it ranges.
How can money range?
Because there's some allocations that haven't been spent, and so we know it's about 1.5, give or take. Yeah,
And
I
how
can get
much
with
is this
Mr.
project
Gonzalez.
going to cost?
About that,
About?
yes.
That's a lot of abouts.
So it'll take up the projected cost for Market Square only is 1.3.
It is 1.3? So then why don't we have, anytime we're asked to vote on something, to purchase any kind of property or to spend any kind of money, we have a budget, we have line items. So how can you ask us to spend $1.5 million on something with no...
About.
On about, yes.
I had a
Your
question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And this is for Pete. There were items on that list that you took from the AEP funds before that I disagreed with. I know that there were other people on the commission that did not agree with you taking funds from that column, and I believe that's part of the about, because there were items that were there and then removed and so on and so forth. So I think the question of how much funding is there is really for you.
Most of the, I think that if I go back and look at it, most of it, all the $3 million, $3,060,000, I think, we're spending in the downtown area. We're also spending money for the garage parking, which is considered downtown. We needed some local monies as a contribution. It's about $350,000. But we can certainly give you a report on our next meeting as to how this money has been spent from this particular settlement monies that we got. Now, if any monies that the city commission decides that we shouldn't have charged, we'll go back to the general fund and charge the general fund balance for any unspent, but I guess the city commission will decide as to how we should spend this money. But there's a record of all expenses that have been charged to this particular
And we did get
account.
that record when we met with staff several times before the budget. So
Right.
we do have that.
Right.
Right, but that's an aside. How much is this going to cost? Anytime we vote on something, we have a budget, we have line items.
Right now, we're
So whether or
dedicating-
not we have that amount, whether or not we have the AEP amount, we need to know how much we're going to spend and what it's going to be spent on.
He answered your question. He said 1.3, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
I mean-
why wasn't it included in the packet? That doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I thought the thought of the agenda item was to not talk about the cents and the dollars and the cents of the project. The idea was to just commit the funding in essence to the downtown project, to Market Square and the project.
And then
Can I
we
read on my
approve the
question?
purchases.
If
What?
we,
And then after it's dedicated, we would approve the purchases.
Yeah, after that, the bid process starts, and then you would get all the numbers, and all of it would have to go through you to get approved. So the idea here is that it be dedicated into one part of downtown, and then staff will go back and we'll have to, bring it into budget, because we only have the $1.5 million.
But as it is, money has been spent and we haven't I mean, that's what Commissioner Gowan is talking about.
It's
So
my
how are we
feeling-
going to control
it's-
that?
It's my feeling that this project needs to happen. There's been a lot of planning, not just by the community input, but by experts that say that these are the things that Market Square needs, and very much so, in order to continue downtown revitalization and spark it, especially in today's climate and changes that are happening in the city. It's also been my observation that the AEP funds continue to be dipped into for legitimate reasons. I'm not arguing that point. But the longer we wait to dedicate the remainder of those funds towards Market Square, there won't be any funds left, and we won't be able to do anything in the Market Square area. For that reason, I do support this project, to dedicate these funds towards the Market Square program so that we can protect them from other projects or other needs that come and go, that are small things like the repair of an elevator or fixing a window. Those funds were not taxpayer dollars, and they should be dedicated, in my opinion, to something that will make a statement and really give a gift to the city that we wouldn't otherwise be able to afford.
Commissioner.
Being the only person that hasn't had access to any of this money for any project, I'm going to be happy to see this money go. Spend it and spend it now, because this money has gone into projects in different diverse fields. And you know what? We have pending litigation for $5 million that we haven't set aside for. We've got streets that are in desperate need of repair, but yet none of this money was dedicated. So please, by all means, if you're going to spend this money, spend it tonight. Get rid of it, because it's causing a different set of opinions, and we have projects that we need to be responsible to the people also. And mind you, I will remind you that we do have pending litigation that we have not prepared for. And if the 13th Court of Appeals comes back with a rendering against us, we will have to be prepared in the future for a $5 million settlement. That, not to scare the people, will not be paid in one shot, but we are not prepared. Does that should that happen? We have not done anything actively on streets throughout the city, and I was hoping that some of this money could have been used for that. But like I said, please spend this money, because this is just causing so much controversy between us.
I would like to say, I would like to read something that I wrote for this. I have been a part of this project for the past year, working with Mayor Martinez and Commissioner Villarreal. From day one, I have had issue with the spending of these dollars on the renovation of Market Square without leveraging them against other dollars or having it be part of a larger downtown revitalization plan. I have shared my concerns repeatedly, and I feel that this is not a wise expenditure of public dollars. We are spending public dollars as if they were private monies. We are not leveraging our resources to generate more revenue for our city. We have not sought out private investment to fully leverage the AEP settlement funds. For example, partnering with a private developer to take on portions of downtown revitalization. There is no clear plan for this project. I see that you presented a PowerPoint right now, but there's no money involved in that PowerPoint. They're nice pictures of a great landscape architect firm that we have in town. They have wonderful work, but that is not part of the master plan, the real downtown revitalization master plan. The Brownsville Economic Development Council has already paid for a downtown revitalization plan, a detailed plan that provides a blueprint for the necessary steps to accomplish sustained revitalization. Yet I do not see that in this project is part of that greater plan. We continue to spend money not in accordance with the plan that we paid for, but in support of individual pet projects. There also was no project plan included in our packet, and if one exists, I have not seen it. If it has not been shared with the commission, then it has not been shared with downtown merchants or the community as a whole.
It has.
What good is investing? If it hasn't been shared with us, how could it be shared with them?
You were invited
What
to
good
the
is
meeting.
investing in these plans if we fail to use them and put them into action? At minimum, we should consult with the downtown merchants and other individuals that are vested in the success of our downtown. I equate this spending with the property purchases that were approved by the previous commission. If you will recall, the city spent $2.5 million acquiring properties throughout the downtown area that have not resulted in any revenue back to the city to date. The city paid a premium for these properties. The city took out a loan to purchase these buildings, taking privately owned properties off our tax rolls. And since the city has done nothing with them to date, it has resulted in a net negative in revenue back to the city. Another issue I have is that we will be spending this money without leveraging a single penny. If the remaining AEP funds will solely be used to renovate a single building or 1 square block, then we will have missed an opportunity to truly advance the revitalization of downtown. If we spend this money without leveraging against other grant dollars, then I ask you, what will we have for that investment? I'll tell you what we won't have. We will not have invested in the long-term sustainability of downtown. We will not have incentivized investment by the private sector, either current or future. We will not have any monies left in the settlement money, spending the remaining balance on a single investment. We will not have made an investment that will generate additional revenues for our city nor our citizens. We will only have a pretty building. I would like to make it abundantly clear, I am not in any way against downtown revitalization. On the contrary, I am a huge supporter of downtown revitalization. I come from a downtown merchant family. I have a great passion for bringing our historic downtown back to its former glory, one that I remember fondly. But I feel it is our duty to help the downtown merchants that are now struggling and spending these monies under the guise of downtown revitalization without a plan set in place or a budget that will truly generate revenue and aid our downtown community is unacceptable. I simply ask that we make a fully informed decision that will truly benefit the greater good and drive more business to our downtown. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
What were the nays? Commissioner
3 nays
Longoria?
and 4 yeses, right? 4 and 3 against.
Nay.
I need names.
I am a nay. Deborah
Estela,
Portillo.
nay. Debbie, nay. Longoria, nay. Anybody else? That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
The rest say A. I will make a comment because when Ramiro came here, he made a presentation to the PUB. The PUB has a definite commitment and has already spent going underground with those utilities and is fully committed to going underground for the 4 alleyways going to 10th Street, which is over $1 million, which they will not be charging the city in any sort of way.
So they won't affect our transfer?
They won't affect anything.
Okay.
And they
Okay.
voted on that? That they're not going to take it from the transfer?
They were made a presentation. They don't have to vote on it because we already did that before.
What do you mean we already did that before?
They approved the use of going to the downtown and revitalization and provide us with, there's letters out there to that effect. Ms. Portillo.
Mary, if I may, I just want to say that I have seen the plans because I feel like that speech will now imply something that is wrong.
You've seen a budget.
I haven't, well,
That's what I'm saying. We haven't seen money.
I feel confident spending this money for that cause. Like Commissioner Longoria said, that money has been sitting there depleting. And I feel when all of us ran, this was before your time, we all made the commitment that we cared about our downtown area and that we were interested in revitalizing it. And that's how I feel. And
I'm
I
not
know
included
that
in that statement. That's your statement.
That's
Don't-
my
don't- yeah,
statement.
don't
You
include
can
me on that
shift
one.
it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll shift it to Dr. Gowan and just say that maybe we haven't, and I don't say we, but I mean as the commission or the city, made the correct steps along the way, but I feel like correctness starts at some point, and I feel like Market Square is that spot.
Can we go on to the next item, item number 13?
We didn't, you didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, we voted.
Yeah, you want
Yeah, we voted, it passed. Next item?
Okay. Item 13, consideration and action to authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the Texas Department of Public Safety, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Federal Emergency Management Agency fiscal year 2014, Department of Homeland Security State Homeland Security Program to the Brownsville Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security in the amount of $122,710.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. For the past 13 years, the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security has applied for and been granted the Homeland Security Grant, LETPA, Law Enforcement Terrorism Protection Activities. These funds are used to acquire tactical, survival, and rescue equipment for our Brownsville Police Department EOD team. As typically happens with this particular grant, due to budgeting delays in Washington, we have just received the grant adjustment notice and have been awarded an allocation of $122,710 for fiscal year 2014. Staff recommends your approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 14.
Item 14, consideration and action to authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the Emergency Management Performance Grant Program for fiscal year 2014 to the Brownsville Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security in the amount of $55,656.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, for the past 15 years or so, the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security has applied for and been granted an emergency performance grant. These funds are used to offset a portion of the operating costs of the local emergency management program, including salaries and benefits for staff, as well as for dedicated emergency preparedness equipment used by our staff. No match is required for this grant. It reimburses for a portion of eligible direct expenses. As typically happens with this particular grant, due to the budgeting delays in Washington, we have just received the grant adjustment notice and have been awarded an allocation of $55,656.60 for fiscal year 2014. Staff recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
carries. Item number 15.
Item 15, consideration and action on resolution number 2014-056 to authorize the closure of Southmost Boulevard for the 15th Annual Veterans Day Parade to be held Saturday, November the 8th, 2014.
Mayor, City Commission, this is just requesting your authority to go ahead and close off Southmost for Veterans Day Parade. It's 1 hour. We've got this down to a science. It's 3 hours before and 1 hour of prep, so it's 4 hours total. And but really, Southmost itself starts at 20th Street, ends at Lima, and so we'd like motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Ross Johnson.
Item 16, consideration and action to award a term contract for the purchase and delivery of leather gear for the Brownsville Police Department.
In August this year, we solicited bids, sealed bids. We got 2 vendors for our leather gear. Leather gear's holsters, belts, cuffs, stuff like that kind of stuff for our personnel. We got 2 bids, sealed bids. We just went with the cheaper, which turned out to be Galls. We've worked with Galls for several years. GT was another good company, but $22,000 more expensive, so we went the cheapest. And it's a good company.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 17, consideration and action to authorize the renewal of a term contract for paving services for the city of Brownsville.
Honorable Mayor, City
Santana.
Commissioners, tonight we're requesting your approval of an extension of a term contract with G&T Paving to provide paving services for an additional 12-month period. This contract was awarded back in October 2011 to G&T Paving for the initial 1-year period for the option for the city to extend the term for 3 additional 1-year terms. If it's granted, this will be the 3rd and final 1-year term extension of this contract. Funding will derive from account 01-417-765.
Approved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.